all of us have a dark past, and part of my dark past is I used to teach guitar. And one of the things that I was always sort of mystified about, and it still happens to this day, is the sort of the dark arcane magic that people thought modal systems were, modes. And there was usually two schools of thought. There was something that wasn't for anybody to have access to, or they were a new scale to try and do a gymnastics with up and down. And it's not really a nice way of looking at modes. I'm not going to do a big long epic video about modes and all their tonalities, but this is sort of an introduction and kind of a way of how you can put some modalities into your blues playing. One thing that you might know about blues or might not know about blues is that the scale that's used in it is a truncated major scale. It's got notes turfed out of it and it's been mixed around a bit. It's very simple music. And I think that if you can take something from modes and put it into your blues, you can actually make it sound just a lot more fluid and vocal, which is what blues soloing should be. Now, what is a mode? Okay, we'll do this, but just very quickly. This is a C major scale. You know that one? It's practically a Disney song. If you listen to that, you'll find that everything is resolving back on C. So C major, and it always wants to end on C. Now, here's the thing. If you take another note within that scale, so you've got all the same notes and make it the tonal center, then the whole thing takes on a different sort of flavor. So if I make E the center of that scale, so same notes. And that's called a Phrygian mode, and it's beloved by metal players across the land. Now, there's one other way of looking at modes, which is how they differ from major and minor scales, because they do have similar sort of patterns. So if you actually took a minor scale and if you sharpened it 6 notes, you get a thing called a Dorian mode. Another way of coming at the Dorian mode is it's a major scale started on its second note. Okay, but that sharpened 6 or major sixth that's in the scale gives it a totally different flavor. Now, these probably sound like exotic terms, but you've been playing a major sixth since you started learning guitar, since you started learning. That's a major sixth, so it's already present in the blues. So if you take a minor blues scale and keeping it sort of simple, so we don't want to add notes into it, we're going to take one note out. We'll take the 7th out of it, or the D if you like it, in the case of E minor, and we're going to put that C sharp in instead. So we get something that looks like this. So I'm going. Already you can hear it's still bluesy, but it has a sort of a nice sort of twang off it, a nice sort of flavour. So what did I do? Well, instead of going, I changed this to the C sharp, the major sixth I just talked about. Now, that sounds great because when you actually play licks with it, and I'll just. There's a nice sort of flavour in those sort of solos. So I'll show you a lick that uses it, and it's a real sort of Brian May type of sort of sound, obviously, because that's what we do here most of the time. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, we're still in the normal box position E minor, and I'm going to grab that C sharp, and it's the 14th fret of the B here. I'm going to do a typical Brian thing, and we're going to bend it up a semitone. Let it down and pull off. I mean, like, this is every Brian May lick nearly. And that last bit is 14 on the G, 12, and I'm going to bend it up a semitone, and then to resolve, we'll go to 14 on the E. So why does that work? Well, let's play it first of all. Because the first chord in any E blues is E itself, or E7th. So, and in that, there's a D, which is what we're bending to here, a B, which we release to here, and a G sharp, which we're bending into here, and obviously the E that we resolved to. So what we've done here is we've used the modal note to set up a way of mapping the chord tones in a very vocal way. You could sing that lick, and it's very similar to the horn section actually in Superstition by Stevie Wonder, because it does something similar. It's largely using an E minor pentatonic to riff out, but the descending horns riff in the original has a Dorian sort of C sharp in it. Or is it an E flat? It doesn't matter. You can listen to that song, you'll hear what I mean. So what I'm going to do now, using the trusty Fender Tone Master that we have here, and I have a new preset for that, which I'll describe in a separate video. We'll just try a little 12 bar, which is E7, A7, E7, then B7, A7, E7 again. And just before I play it, one other thing that you can try when you're trying to solo with this is that because that C sharp is in play, that C sharp is also present in the A chord, which is the second chord, if you like, in the chord progression as a third. So it's a good way of bridging into that chord. So when I come to improvise over those, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our blues scale with this lovely C sharp added into it. When the A pops up, I'm going to jump down to its Dorian mode because it's got, you know, this lovely F sharp in it. And when we eventually get to the B, I'm going to map out the E7 chord using a B pentatonic, and I'll try and call that out as I come along. But the first thing first is, let's use the looper to lay down a riff. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to wait for that to come around again. So you can hear it's a fairly quick change, standard blues thing. So for the E, it'll be around that scale I described, the E blues with the C sharp. And for the A, I'll do the same thing. And for the B, I'll be mapping out its own chord. Look, you'll see what I'm doing now, and I'll talk you through the licks. Here we go. Okay, here's the B. So let's have a look at some of those motifs. So similar licks to the one I was showing earlier on. Playing that nice D over the E chord. And then when the A came up, here's an interesting one. This sixth, this major sixth we've added to the blues scale, it's actually in the A chord, and you can see that there. So it's a good idea to be able to sort of visualize those chords where you are. So if we're soloing around here, it's good to see that A7 looks like that. Or more properly, it also has this note in it, both of those, and that can sort of help you map it. Then when the B came up, I simply just matched the chords. So there's a nice blues scale there. So when the B7 came up, I'll show you that lick. So that's like 10 up to 12, so in other words I'm bending into an actual B note. Pulling off to here. So it's a nice way to resolve through the B, and if you're in that neighbourhood you should know that there's a blues scale here, and I'll show it to you if you've never seen it before, another E blues. Worth learning them all off so you can see where they bridge in. So our solo could go something like this, so like our first lick, and then you could resolve it back lower. For the A chord, because that's inner A chord. And when the B comes, we can just map out that chord. And because we're in that neighbourhood and we have this E minor pentatonic, we can do a simple blues lick to bring it back to E. And that's a nice way of sort of getting a nice vocal solo just by introducing that one note. Now, there's another thing that you can do that can help spice it up as well, which is in the minor key blues. Now, we'll talk about that in another one, but let's see how this one goes. Is this something that you want me to do? If there's something you're interested in, how can I do it better? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more. Just to let you know what I have coming up because of a bit of time over Easter. This is a Brinemate Deaky amp. Go Google it. It's an amazing contraption, and I will be doing a deep dive into what this does and explaining how you can get that sound at home. And I'll also have a video up about my new Brian May preset for the Tone Master. Still using Tonex and IK Multimedia, by the way. All of that stuff is great. I'm just using this thing because for teaching and things like that's a lot easier to work around, and I can use my computer as a very expensive monitor, so I can make sure that I'm not looking completely stupid. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Let me know in the comments how this goes. Happy Easter.